The galactic hegemony ruled the stars for 30,000 years without challenge. The mighty alliance of 17 alien species controlled vast regions of the Milky Way galaxy. Their massive ships traveled between stars in days. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their technology seemed like magic to lesser beings. On a normal day in the hegemony's central command, Junior Scout Officer Zilax noticed something on his monitor. Weak radio signals from a yellow star in a forgotten corner of space. He reported it to his supervisor, who yawned and filed it as another primitive world, without much interest. 6 months later, Commander Vextral stood on the bridge of the hegemony warship Inevitable Dominance. The blue-skinned alien adjusted his ceremonial armor and flicked his tail with boredom. Making contact with primitive species was beneath him, but orders were orders. "Show me this Earth again," he told his science officer. The view screen displayed a small blue planet. Humans had built cities, launched satellites, and even placed small bases on their moon and neighboring planet. But to Vexitral, it looked pathetic. "Their technology level?" he asked. "Barely space age," the science officer reported. "They have chemical rockets, simple ion engines, and a few orbital stations. They recently developed basic faster-than-light travel but have only 23 small ships with this capability." Vextral laughed, showing his sharp teeth. 23 ships? Our smallest battle group has 500. What a joke. The Inevitable Dominance was bigger than Earth's largest city. It carried 10,000 crew members and enough weapons to glass the entire planet. As it approached the edge of Earth's solar system, small human ships detected it. On the bridge of the UNDF Intrepid, red alert warnings flashed. Captain Laura Mitchell gripped her chair arms tightly as the massive alien ship appeared on their screens. At 42, Mitchell had spent 20 years in the United Nations Defense Fleet. She had seen many things in space, but nothing like this. "Size estimate?" she asked, keeping her voice steady though her heart pounded. "It's enormous, Captain," replied Officer Ben Cole, his eyes wide. "The alien vessel is approximately 95 kilometers long. That's almost the size of a small moon." The bridge fell silent. Their own ship, the pride of Earth's fleet, measured less than 1 kilometer. "Open all communication channels," Mitchell ordered, "and alert Admiral Carter immediately." Minutes later, the alien transmission came through. A blue-skinned creature with 4 yellow eyes appeared on screen. Its voice translated into English with a metallic echo. "This is Commander Vextral of the Galactic Hegemony. We have detected your civilization and come to evaluate your species for potential membership. Please prepare your leadership for formal introductions." 3 days later, a meeting took place at Ganymede Station orbiting Jupiter. The station, a ring-shaped outpost normally housing 200 people, now hosted the most important first contact in human history. Admiral William Carter led the human group. At 65, with gray hair and deep wrinkles around his eyes, Carter had a calming presence. He wore the dark blue uniform of the UNDF with 5 golden stars on each shoulder. Vextral and 6 other aliens towered over the humans. They wore armor that shifted colors like oil on water. Strange devices floated beside them, scanning everything. "Welcome to Ganymede Station," Carter said with a slight bow. "We are honored to meet representatives of an advanced civilization." Vextral didn't bow back. His upper eyes focused on Carter while his lower ones scanned the room. "This station is functional," he said, not hiding his disappointment. "Where do you build your ships?" Carter pointed to a window showing a small construction yard where workers in spacesuits assembled a new vessel. Vextral made a sound like snorting. "You build them by hand? With individual workers? The hegemony automated shipbuilding 15,000 years ago." Later, at a dinner prepared with Earth's finest foods, Vextral picked at a steak with his 3-fingered hand. "Your species has achieved space travel remarkably quickly," he said, not eating the food. "Though your vessels are quaint. The hegemony appreciates enthusiasm, even when technological capability is lacking." Admiral Carter smiled politely and sipped his water. "We make do with what we have, Commander. Perhaps you'd care for a tour of our facilities tomorrow? I would be interested to see your shipyards." Vextrol replied, though I'm told your entire fleet could fit in one of our standard carrier bays. The other aliens at the table laughed. One of them, a reptilian being with scales that changed color with its mood, spoke to Vextrol in their language. The translator devices caught it anyway. Why waste time with these primitives? They offer nothing of value to the hegemony. Carter pretended not to hear. Captain Mitchell, sitting beside him, gripped her fork so hard her knuckles turned white. After dinner, Admiral Carter and Captain Mitchell walked alone down a quiet corridor of the station. They think we're jokes, Mitchell said angrily. Did you see how they laughed at our ships? Carter stopped and checked that no one was nearby. He pressed his wrist communicator with a specific pattern. 3 short taps, 1 long. A hidden panel in the wall slid open, revealing a small room. Inside, screens showed footage from all over the solar system. But these weren't regular security feeds. One screen showed massive shipyards hidden inside Mars's largest moon, Phobos. Another displayed a fleet of sleek vessels hiding in Jupiter's radiation belt, ships much more advanced than anything Earth had publicly revealed. A third screen showed underwater bases on Europa where weapons testing took place. Let them laugh, Carter said softly. Operation Shadow Fleet remains on schedule. The hegemony sees exactly what we want them to see. But sir, Mitchell whispered, they're so advanced. The size of that ship alone. Size isn't everything, Captain, Carter replied. Remember your history. The Spanish thought their armada was invincible too. He pointed to another screen showing thousands of stealth satellites silently orbiting Earth's sun. For 70 years we've prepared for this day. We detected their communications decades ago. We recovered one of their crashed scout ships in 2052. We know more about them than they could possibly imagine. Mitchell nodded slowly, understanding. So our primitive fleet is just a mask, Carter finished. The smallest, weakest ships we could build that would still convince them we had space travel capabilities. All while our real fleet waits. In the guest quarters, Vextrol recorded his daily log. Contact made with species designate human. Technology level, minimal. Military threat, none. Recommendation, establish monitoring outpost and resource extraction rights. These creatures pose no challenge to hegemony interests. He shut off the recording and smiled. Such an easy assignment. These humans would make excellent servants once they understood their place in the galaxy. How wrong he was. Lieutenant Alex Reyes guided his small black shuttle through the rings of Saturn. At 34, Reyes had the steady hands of a surgeon and the calm mind of a chess player. His shuttle, officially listed as Maintenance Vessel 12, had no markings or lights. Its special coating absorbed radar and light, making it nearly invisible. Approaching checkpoint, he said into his secure comm. Request access to Sanctum. A woman's voice replied. Identification code required. Sierra Echo Charlie Romeo. Echo Tango. Authorization Reyes, 5591. Confirmed. Welcome home, Lieutenant. Ahead of him, the dense ring particles shifted. A hidden doorway opened in the middle of Saturn's rings, revealing a massive space station inside. Sanctum Station, humanity's true military headquarters. The shuttle passed through the hidden gate. Inside was a vast complex bigger than any public space station Earth had built. Hundreds of ships docked at its many arms. Workers moved between huge construction bays where advanced warships took shape. Reyes landed his shuttle and walked quickly to the war room. The large circular chamber had a giant holographic display in the center, showing the entire solar system. Red dots marked the positions of all hegemony ships. Admiral Sofia Martinez stood before 20 fleet commanders seated around the table. At 58, Martinez had steel-gray hair pulled back in a tight bun and eyes that missed nothing. She had commanded Earth's hidden fleet for 15 years. Our guests seem to find our public fleet amusing, she said, her voice calm but firm. Good. Let them continue to underestimate us. We've been preparing for this moment since the Proxima Centauri signals in 2047. She touched a control, and the hologram zoomed in on the hegemony flagship. For almost 80 years, we've known we weren't alone. When that alien scout ship crashed, In the Atacama Desert in 2052, we recovered working technology that put us centuries ahead. Instead of announcing this to the world, Earth's governments made a rare wise decision to prepare in secret. Commander Eric Daniels of Special Intelligence stepped forward. At 46, he had a face nobody remembered and eyes that saw everything. His job was to know the enemy better than they knew themselves. The hegemony vessels use quantum-linked propulsion, he explained, pointing to schematics of the alien ships. It's advanced, but we've already improved on their design. Their weapons are powerful but follow predictable patterns. Most importantly, they have no concept of cyber warfare as we understand it. Why not? Asked a captain in the front row. Because they've never needed it, Daniels replied. The species in the hegemony all developed together, sharing technologies. They've never faced a serious outside threat, never experienced a true war in thousands of years. Their systems have strong physical protections but almost no defense against digital attacks. At that moment in Earth's public orbital shipyard, Commander Vextral toured what humans presented as their most advanced facility. The blue-skinned, alien-watched workers assemble a new cruiser, welding large metal plates to its frame. This will be our newest vessel, Captain Laura Mitchell explained as she led the tour. The UNDF Defender, our most advanced warship to date. Vextral barely hid his amusement. The ship looked impressive by human standards but was primitive compared to hegemony technology. Its weapons were simple lasers and missiles. Its engines used basic antimatter reactions rather than the quantum technology his people had used for millennia. Your determination is admirable, he told Mitchell with a condescending smile. Perhaps in a few centuries you might build something that could serve in our auxiliary fleets. Mitchell nodded politely. We have much to learn from the hegemony. What Vextral didn't know was that the Defender was designed to be exactly what the aliens expected, a slightly advanced but still primitive ship. Its real purpose was to convince the hegemony that humans were struggling with technology they had actually mastered decades ago. Every scan the aliens took, every system they examined, every piece of data they collected passed through hidden filters. The hegemony saw exactly what humans wanted them to see. Back at Sanctum Station, Lieutenant Reyes met with Chief Engineer Frank Wilson in a secure lab. Wilson, a heavy-set man with a wild gray beard, handed him a small black device. The latest version, Wilson said proudly. Plant this on the hegemony ship during your next maintenance visit. It will record everything without being detected. Reyes examined the spy device, barely larger than his thumbnail. Will it work through their shields? Their shields block physical objects and energy, not quantum entanglement. Wilson grinned. Once activated, this beauty creates a quantum link with our receivers. We'll see whatever it sees instantly, no transmission to detect. In another section of Sanctum, Admiral Martinez met with Dr. Julia Patel, head of alien psychology. Patel's office walls were covered with charts analyzing hegemony behavior patterns. What have you learned? Martinez asked. Dr. Patel brought up footage of the aliens. They're incredibly arrogant. Thousands of years of technological superiority made them blind to potential threats. They classify new species on first contact and never reconsider that classification. So once they decide, we're primitive, they'll never question it, Patel confirmed. They'll attribute any advanced technology they might accidentally discover to luck or stolen knowledge, not our capabilities. Perfect, Martinez nodded. And their plans for us? Based on historical records we extracted from their databases, they follow a standard pattern. First friendly contact, then trade agreements that heavily favor them. Finally, they establish a permanent presence and slowly take control of resources. Martinez's eyes hardened. And if the primitive species objects? Submission or extinction, Patel said quietly. They've wiped out 12 species in their history who refused to accept hegemony rule. That evening, in his private quarters on the hegemony ship, Commander Vextral recorded his observations. These humans are exactly as our initial scans suggested, primitive but ambitious. Their technology is basic. Their military capabilities are minimal. They will make useful additions to the hegemony workforce once properly integrated. He paused, then added, their planet has unusually high concentrations of rare minerals. I recommend establishing mining operations within 2 standard cycles. The humans need not be consulted on this matter. 3 days later, Lieutenant Reyes, disguised as a maintenance worker, placed Wilson's device on the Hegemony ship's outer hull, while performing a goodwill repair of damage they had secretly caused themselves. That night, in Sanctum's command center, Admiral Martinez and her team watched as the device activated. Schematics, data streams, and internal communications from the alien vessel poured into their systems. "Now we'll know everything they know," Martinez said with satisfaction. "And everything they don't know about us." Commander Daniels studied the incoming data. "They're sending regular reports back to their homeworld. The latest one recommends Earth for resource extraction." As expected, Martinez nodded. "How long before they show their true intentions?" "Based on their communications, 3 to 6 months. They're already requesting additional ships." Martinez turned to face the massive window overlooking Sanctum's hidden shipyards. Hundreds of advanced warships gleamed under the lights. Unlike Earth's public fleet, these vessels incorporated technologies even the Hegemony hadn't mastered. "Then we have 3 months to complete our preparations," she said firmly. "Continue Operation Trojan Horse. Let them think we're simple and weak. When they make their move, they'll learn how dangerous a primitive species can be." 3 months after first contact, the Hegemony made their decision. Captain Laura Mitchell stood with Admiral Carter in the United Nations Assembly Hall as the alien transmission played on the giant screen. Hundreds of government officials watched, in silence. Commander Vextral's blue face filled the screen. "The Hegemony Council has classified humanity as a Category 4 developing species. This permits limited trade under proper supervision. A Hegemony outpost will be established in Earth orbit to guide your development. Further expansion beyond your home system is prohibited until you reach appropriate technological maturity." Carter nodded politely when the transmission ended. "We are grateful for the Hegemony's guidance," he said, following the script perfectly. Later that day, Earth signed treaties allowing a small Hegemony station to orbit the planet. Humans appeared thankful even for this limited recognition. They began modest trade, offering raw materials in exchange for small pieces of alien technology. For 3 months, everything seemed peaceful. The aliens remained in their orbital station, occasionally sending teams to Earth for cultural exchange. Humans continued to build their simple ships and acted impressed by every scrap of knowledge the Hegemony shared. But deep in Sanctum Station, Admiral Martinez watched the real situation unfold. The spy devices planted on Hegemony ships had revealed their true plans. "They're coming," she told her commanders during an emergency meeting. A new battle group just left their nearest base. Arrival expected in 16 hours. Commander Daniels displayed the intercepted Hegemony communications. "They're not coming for trade. This is Grand Marshal Xorch's fleet. They're military, not their diplomats." "Why now?" asked one of the captains. "Mineral surveys," Martinez explained. "They've completed their analysis of Earth. Our planet has concentrations of rare elements they value highly. Plus, they've identified our solar system as a strategic position near a region they haven't fully mapped. So they're just going to take what they want?" "That's their pattern," Daniels confirmed. "They start friendly, evaluate the planet's resources, then bring in the military to pacify any resistance." Martinez stood straighter. "We've prepared for this scenario for decades. It's time to execute Operation Trojan Horse." As dawn broke over Earth the next day, a massive new Hegemony fleet arrived without warning. 12 huge warships, each 10 times larger than any public human vessel. At their center was a gigantic flagship, twice the size of Vextral's diplomatic vessel. The enormous ship positioned itself over Earth's North Atlantic, its weapon systems activated, ready to destroy any resistance. From its command center, Grand Marshal Xorch, a tall reptilian alien with red scales and black eyes, demanded an immediate meeting with Earth's leaders. The United Nations Security Council gathered hurriedly. On the main screen, Xorch's frightening face appeared. Unlike Vextral's forced politeness, Xorch made no effort to hide his contempt. "We have discovered disturbing information," he announced, his voice deep and cold. Your kind has been experimenting with prohibited technologies. According to hegemony law, this requires immediate intervention. What prohibited technologies? Asked the UN Secretary General, playing her part perfectly. We have followed all hegemony guidelines. Xorch didn't bother answering. Earth will now be placed under direct hegemony control. Your military forces will disarm. Resource extraction will begin immediately. Resistance will result in orbital bombardment of your major cities. When the human representatives protested, Xorch simply cut the transmission. Hours later, the hegemony battle group began systematic attacks on Earth's orbital defenses and the small human fleet. The UNDF Intrepid, Captain Mitchell's ship, took a direct hit to its engines. All hands abandon ship, Mitchell ordered as fires spread across the bridge. Escape pods launched from the dying vessel as it drifted helplessly. From his flagship, Xorch watched the human vessels scatter and break apart. Their weapons couldn't even dent his ship's shields. Some tried to flee to Mars or the outer planets, but were quickly hunted down by faster hegemony pursuers. Primitive fools, Xorch said with satisfaction. Just as our intelligence reported, begin landing operations immediately. His second-in-command approached cautiously. Sir, shall we demand formal surrender before landing troops? Why bother? Xorch replied. These creatures barely qualify as intelligent. Their fleet lasted less than 20 minutes against us. Begin resource extraction immediately. If the locals interfere, eliminate them. Little did he know, everything was going exactly according to humanity's plan. In the darkness of Sanctum Station, Admiral Martinez watched the battle unfold on her screens. The destruction of Earth's public fleet had been expected. Those ships were always meant to be sacrificed. All hegemony vessels are in position, reported her tactical officer. They believe they've won. Martinez nodded grimly. Send the activation signal. Execute Operation Trojan Horse. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations suddenly powered up. From within the moon's dark side, from camouflaged bases on Mars, from the clouds of Jupiter and the ice of Neptune's moon Triton, humanity's real fleet emerged. On the stealth destroyer, UNDF Phantom, Lieutenant Olivia Foster received her orders. The tall, confident woman had spent years pretending to be a simple logistics officer on Earth's public fleet, while secretly commanding one of humanity's most advanced warships. All hands to battle stations, she ordered her crew. Quantum drives, online. Prepare to execute lightfold maneuver on my mark. The Phantom and 50 similar vessels suddenly appeared behind the hegemony fleet, having jumped through space using technology far beyond what the aliens believed humans possessed. The same moment, the escape pods from the destroyed human ships transformed. Their outer shells fell away, revealing advanced fighter craft armed with weapons that could penetrate hegemony shields. Captain Mitchell, now in command of one such fighter, led her squadron toward Xorch's flagship. Remember your training, she told her pilots. Target their shield generators first, then weapons, then engines. In Earth orbit, the hegemony ships suddenly lost power. Their lights flickered and died. Their weapons went offline. Their communications fell silent. Grand Marshal Xorch was in the middle of dictating terms of surrender when his flagship system suddenly went dark. Emergency red lighting bathed his command center. What is happening? He demanded as his officers frantically tried to restore power. His tactical officers stared at backup screens in disbelief. Sir, our systems are being accessed remotely. Someone has penetrated our security protocols. Impossible. These are primitive humans. How? Xorch roared, Unknown, sir, but sensors show hundreds of human warships appearing from nowhere. Their design is unlike anything we've ever seen. Through the flagship's viewport, Xorch watched in shock as sleek black vessels materialized around his fleet. They moved, with impossible speed and precision, targeting critical systems on his ships with weapons that sliced through hegemony shields like they weren't even there. Impossible, he whispered. They were primitives. Their fleet was tiny. His communications officer turned with fear in his eyes. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the humans. On the main screen, Admiral Martinez's face appeared, calm and confident. Grand Marshal Orcs, she said, her voice steady. Your attack on Earth constitutes an act of war against humanity. Our real fleet has your vessels surrounded. Your systems have been compromised by our cyber warfare teams. You have two options: surrender now or be destroyed. Xorch stared at the human woman in disbelief. He had been tricked. They all had been. The tiny fleet had been a deception all along. The battle for Earth lasted less than 6 hours. The hegemony fleet, expecting an easy victory, found themselves surrounded, outgunned, and fighting an enemy that seemed to know their every move before they made it. Grand Marshal Kazorch watched, in horror, from his flagship's emergency command center. One by one, his mighty warships went silent or surrendered. Human vessels moved with impossible speed, appearing and disappearing using technology the hegemony had never seen before. How is this possible? He raged as another cruiser reported critical failures. They were primitives. His second-in-command, pale with fear, pointed to a display showing a human ship smaller than their own cutting through a hegemony cruiser's shields like they weren't even there. Sir, they're using directed quantum disruption weapons, he said, in disbelief. Our scientists said that technology was theoretical, centuries beyond any developing species. On the UNDF Phantom, Lieutenant Olivia Foster smiled as her ship executed another perfect attack run. Target their main power core, she ordered her weapons officer. Disable, don't destroy. The Phantom fired a precise beam that passed through the hegemony ship's shields, temporarily shutting down its power systems without killing the crew. Foster had strict orders: capture as many aliens alive as possible. This wasn't about revenge. It was about showing the hegemony a better way. In Sanctum Station, Admiral Martinez coordinated the battle alongside her staff. The large holographic display showed humanity's forces systematically neutralizing the enemy fleet. Status report, she demanded. 9 hegemony vessels disabled, her tactical officer reported. 3 have surrendered. Only the flagship is still resisting. Martinez nodded. Send the message to Xorch again. One last chance to surrender before we shut down his life support systems. Aboard the hegemony flagship, now drifting powerless in Earth orbit, Grand Marshal Xorch received the human's message for the 3rd time. His once mighty vessel was dark except for emergency lighting. His weapons were offline. His engines dead. Even the artificial gravity was failing. Marshal, his communications officer said quietly, we must surrender. They could have destroyed us hours ago. They're showing mercy. Xorch hissed in anger, but finally nodded. Send the surrender signal. Within minutes, human boarding teams in advanced spacesuits entered the hegemony flagship. They moved with practiced precision, securing critical areas and taking the alien crew into custody without firing a single shot. Commander Vexitral, who had been aboard Kazorch's ship as an advisor, found himself escorted to a conference room where Admiral Martinez waited. The blue-skinned alien diplomat looked confused and afraid. You deceived us, he said accusingly. Martinez raised an eyebrow. We showed you exactly what you expected to see. Your own arrogance did the rest. 2 weeks later, Martinez led a human delegation to the Hegemony Council's capital world. Using humanity's true FTL technology, the journey took only days instead of the months it would have taken with the primitive drives the hegemony believed humans possessed. The massive council chamber fell silent as Martinez and her team entered. 17 alien representatives from different species sat in a semicircle on raised platforms. They had expected a military occupation of Earth by now, not a human delegation walking confidently into their most sacred chamber. How dare you enter council space uninvited? Demanded the senior counselor, a tall being with 6 limbs and glowing eyes. Martinez stepped forward. We come with Grand Marshal Kazorch's fleet codes and authorization, or what remains of them. She activated a small device. The chamber's main screen showed the hegemony battle group now in Earth orbit, captured powerless under human control. Impossible, whispered one of the counselors. Martinez's voice filled the silent chamber. For thousands of years, your hegemony has classified newly discovered species and decided their fate without their consent. You've stripped resources from developing worlds. You've eliminated those who refuse to submit. She activated another display showing the true extent of human space. Dozens of hidden colonies established over decades. An industrial capacity, far beyond what the hegemony had believed possible. Technologies developed independently that had surpassed many hegemony standards. Earth will join the hegemony, Martinez announced, not as a subject world, but as an equal member with full rights. The practice of classifying species and restricting their development ends today. The senior counselor's voice shook with anger. You have no authority to make demands. We have the authority of strength, Martinez replied calmly. Your military has already seen what our tiny fleet can do. We could have destroyed Kazorch's battle group entirely, but we chose to disable it instead. That's the difference between us. You subjugate, we cooperate. She walked around the chamber, looking each counselor in the eyes. For thousands of years, your hegemony has stagnated. You became so convinced of your superiority that you forgot the very qualities that brought your ancestors to the stars. Curiosity, innovation, and the drive to overcome challenges. One of the younger counselors spoke up. What are your terms? Simple. Earth and humanity join as equals. All species currently under hegemony supervision are granted full membership rights. Technology is shared, not controlled. Expansion is based on cooperation, not conquest. The council chamber erupted in angry shouts and arguments. Hours of debate followed. Some counselors threatened war. Others recognized the reality. If humans could defeat their best battle fleet so easily, a full-scale war would be devastating. In the end, practicality won. The hegemony, for the first time in its long history, compromised. 5 years later, Commander Lisa Ryan of the UNDF Dauntless stood on the observation deck of Mars shipyard. At 39, Ryan had seen the galaxy transform. The massive ship, under construction below, was unlike anything built before. A joint human hegemony vessel combining the best technologies of both civilizations. Impressive, isn't it? Asked a familiar voice. Ryan turned to see Vextral, the former hegemony diplomat, now Earth's ambassador to the Council. Their relationship had evolved from enemies to cautious allies to friends. She'll be the fastest ship in the galaxy, Ryan said proudly. And the first with a truly mixed crew. Vextral nodded. The Horizon Project, a fitting name for a new beginning. Did you ever imagine this? Ryan asked. That first day when you saw our primitive fleet? Vextral laughed, a sound he had learned from humans. Never. We thought your tiny fleet meant weakness. We never considered it might mean something else entirely. What did it really mean? Ryan asked. Efficiency, Vextral replied. Why build large fleets when you can build smart ones? Why show your strength when surprise gives advantage? These were concepts the hegemony had forgotten over millennia of unchallenged power. Below them, human and alien workers moved together, around the massive ship, installing systems that neither civilization could have created alone. What happens next? Vextral asked. Your people have changed everything in just 5 years. Ryan smiled. Next, we explore together. There are parts of the galaxy neither of our peoples have mapped. New challenges that will require both human innovation and hegemony wisdom. In the distance, Earth glowed blue against the blackness of space. Once considered a primitive backwater, now the center of a galactic renaissance. The planet that taught the stars that appearances can be deceiving, and that underestimating a species because of their tiny fleet might be the last mistake you ever make. A new saying had spread among the stars, whispered in trading posts and diplomatic gatherings. Beware the species that hides its strength, for when they reveal their true power it may already be too late. The end,